Well, joining me now, former Georgia Congressman Doug Collins and host of the Doug Collins podcast alongside E.J. Antoni, data analyst, research fellow at the Heritage Foundation. E.J., I'm looking at this whole thing and the cost that these automakers will incur if they give into the demands currently on the table is $8.5 billion more a year just in payroll for their 150,000 labor employees. Is that sustainable?
No, Carl, it's not sustainable at all. But I mean, if you want to talk about not sustainable, we just hit $33 trillion in national debt. So the fact that the president, who has overseen that dramatic increase in the deficit and the debt, is now going out to, perhaps the picket line, perhaps not, but he's going out to somehow throw his weight around in this situation. I don't think that's surprising at all. But I think the big takeaway here is that if the unions actually get what they're asking for, Carl, it is going to do nothing but send jobs overseas, because these automakers cannot afford to pay those wages. Their costs have actually gone up even more than consumer prices under Joe Biden.
Yeah. Well, Doug, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking all this time that, look, if they have to pay their workers more, it's going to cost me more money for a truck. What American can afford that?
Well, and that's the problem you've got right now. And I think one of the things you look at, let's throw some numbers at this. One is that the cost per hour for the labor cost with benefits and everything for Tesla, $45, which is a non-union shop. For the big three, it is right now at about $60 to $68. If they get everything that they want from the union, it'll go up to $135 an hour. We're not dealing with the big three from the 50s and 60s. We're dealing with three companies that are basically under a lot of pressure from other sources. This is the UAW, I think, overstretching, and you got Biden sort of in the back door just pushing along. People are not going to understand why they want 32 hours work for 40 hours pay. They don't understand a 40% increase. And you can blame the CEO all you want, but at the end of the day, you can't afford what this is going to cost.
Yeah, we actually did the math that if you divide up the salary of the CEO, $28 million, it would give every worker on the Ford line less than $100 each, so a year. So, but check this out, headline from earlier, EJ. A number of House Democrats, they stood on the picket lines over the weekend after voting down a bill to block Biden's electrical vehicle mandate. So basically, by attempting to restrict the production of these traditional vehicles, these so-called supportive Democrats, they're actually hurting the cause of this worker, because these electric cars are costing sometimes $30,000 a pop to the manufacturer.
Exactly, Carl. And on top of that, these cars are piling up on dealer lots because consumers simply don't want them. And so these businesses, the car companies, are losing money on what the Democrats are pushing them to produce, whereas the companies that are free to make what consumers want are going to thrive, are going to be profitable, and that's where all the jobs are going to be.
Yeah. Doug, last 15 seconds.
Last second. One of the things to say is, looking at this, also pushing this EV vehicle, it takes less workers to make the EV vehicles. It takes less workers.
Really?
Yes, it does. It's by a third, I think, or more. I've heard the number. It takes less workers to make the electric vehicles as opposed to the traditional. I can't make this stuff up. I just bring you good tidings of great joy.
Man,
this is the Biden administration helping the worker.
They are not good at anything. All right, Doug, EJ, we appreciate your time today.